Hello and welcome to Sports Today. It's an Indian hockey special, a sport that I have followed and loved. Obviously, anybody who follows India's Olympic sport would have loved Indian hockey. And I have written tons. I've written tons about Indian hockey, written books on India's Olympic story, and what amazing stories of Indian hockey in the past. But today it's also about the present. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it into three parts. First part, I'm going to talk to you about the current team. I'm going to talk to you about the preparations of the current team, the strengths of the current team, and can we give this team a realistic opportunity to win a medal in Tokyo? Do they have a realistic chance? We will deep dive into the preparations of the current team. That is the first part of this show. The second part of this show is to tell you some unknown stories from the past, gems from the past that perhaps you don't know. Some of you will not know. I don't think most of you will know the stories that I'm going to talk to you about from the past. I will say 3 or 4 such stories which you will find fascinating from the annals of Indian hockey. The third part is the part that is, most of you are waiting for. I had an incredibly good conversation with Manpreet Singh, the captain, PR Shrijesh, star goalkeeper, Graham Reed, the coach, and I'm going to play a long chunk of the interview. By the way, the full interview is about 32 minutes and we will premiere it. I'll check with Trisha, but we will probably premiere it tomorrow or day after maximum. But you will get a 10-minute chunk of the interview today, a solid chunk, and you will love the banter. Let me tell you that you will absolutely love the banter. Before all of that, here's a look at the news points that are doing, the rounds in the sporting world. The Indian women yet again lost a closely fought match this time against the English. Sophia Dunkley batting very well, closing it out for the English women. India had them under the. India had England on the mat. Sophia Dunkley, Catherine Brunt were excellent. Jhulan Goswami was sensationally good. Start of the spell, so was Shikha Pandey. Poonam Yadav picked up an early wicket in Heather Knight. India came back well. That last wicket partnership between Jhulan Goswami and Poonam Yadav added valuable 30-odd runs. And that is when the thing turned. 221 wasn't a bad score. The Indians were decent enough. And then the bowling performance too was definitely better compared to the first game. They were in the contest. 5 English wickets. Okay. So let's do it this way. Trisha just informs me that today only we will play the full interview. We will play the full interview today itself on this show. Unbelievably good. So anyone who follows Indian hockey, you will get to see the full interview today itself. And it was a cracking interview. You will love it. You will absolutely love it. So watch it on Sports Today. If you're a fan of hockey and Olympics, you can't miss this one. Trust you me, you will love the camaraderie, love the sense of humor and banter. Coming to the news points, so that was Indian women. The batting yet again disappointing. Except Mithali Raj, who was a shining star and a beacon, and Shafali Verma, who yet again was sensationally good. That shot over third man, the moving away to Kate Cross and the sort of short arm jab kind of thing over close to fine leg. Tremendous shots from Shafali Verma, and just when she got out, stumped off Sophie Eccleston, close stumping by Amy Jones. That's when India started the collapse again. Smriti Mandhana, talent, yes, who unfortunately refuses to put a price on her wicket. She's got to do that. Harmanpreet Kaur, woefully out of form. We need Shiv Sundar Das to work on these two girls because they are very, very important from the Indian perspective. Like I've said in the past, we need to back the team because this is the core that will fight the 2022 World Cup. The second news point, can't wait for the Euros quarterfinals to start tomorrow. And obviously, I'm going to watch very closely the Italians, the Belgians, and the English. The English had a tremendous victory against the Germans. Italy has been tremendous right through this tournament. Spain and Croatia, that was a goal fest. Belgium, very, this is the last chance maybe of that golden generation. And the Hazard's goal, not Eden. Hazard's goal the other night shows that how good individual talent the Belgians have. So can't wait for the Euros, the quarterfinal leg to start tomorrow. Coming to Wimbledon, plenty of action going on. Novak marching on. Serena's withdrawal has created a lot of news points. So Wimbledon big time, when the action will only get better and better and better at SW19. So we will get you all the latest from SW19. Roger Federer through, Novak Djokovic through. We've got to talk about Wimbledon as the days pass by. And coming to hockey, I give this Indian team a solid amount of chance. If you see the Indian preparation over the last 2 years, and the point that was made to me by Graham Reed, except Canada, who India last played in the Aslan Shah tournament, every other team that is participating in the Olympic hockey competition, including the top sides, Belgium, Australia, Holland, Germany, Argentina, India has beaten each of the top sides. So it is not as if India has not played and beaten any of them, and it is like, it's about 7-8 years back, oh, you know what, Australia versus Germany, India will concede quite a few. It is no longer the case. This Indian team is actually good enough to beat any top team in world hockey on their day. Any top team. And three reasons explain this. The first is physicality. What was the main reason for India's failures in the recent past, including in the Olympic hockey competitions, be it London, be it Rio? We were unable to contend with the fact. We were unable to contend with the physicality of the foreign teams, the European teams especially. And as a result, towards the latter part of the game, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, we would concede any number of goals. And even if we were leading, we would concede a goal and get the opposition to equalize, or concede a goal and lose a close match. How many matches do come to mind? Take the Germany match in the last Olympics, for example. We were leading even in the quarterfinals. So a number of these games come to mind where India started outstandingly well, but because of physicality, they have a problem. So that is something this Indian team no longer has a problem. If you see, they can play at the same pace all 4 quarters, and they are extremely physically good. Same pace right through. And a point that Manpreet Singh makes, that he says to me कि हम अभी गोल कर रहे हैं अंतिम क्षण में, हम अभी गोल कर रहे हैं लास्ट 2-3 मिनट में. अगर आप क्लोजली ऑब्जर्व करें, even against Argentina in the recent tour, India is now the team that is going on the offensive in the last few minutes. So the tables have turned. Number 2, we have enough and more penalty corner specialists and genuinely good flickers. Be it a Rupinder Pal, be it a Harmanpreet, we have genuinely good drag flickers, and that obviously is a massive plus in modern hockey. A point that Graham Reed makes, maybe in the recent past we have been unable to create the number of penalty corners that would have helped our flickers to convert. But this team, given the kind of flair that they have, yes, they will, Akashdeep isn't there, but Lalit Upadhyay, in top-notch form, one of the stars of this side. And if you take a look at that forward line, including Manpreet himself, this team has enough talent to create chances and enable the team to convert, the create penalty corners and then convert. Rupinder Pal, Harmanpreet, they are strong drag flickers, and that will place Team India in a very good stead. Number 3, I think, is PR Srijesh. Srijesh has been there, done that for a long, long time, and has been one of the most outstanding servants of Indian hockey for a huge period of time, and a top star. He is a absolute stalwart in goal, and with PR Srijesh, you know that you have real solidity at the back. And there was this beautiful part in the interview where Manpreet says, Shri Bhai keeps inspiring me from the back. And the kind of bonding and camaraderie was terrific to see between PR Srijesh and Manpreet. So I think that is the third aspect of this Indian team, which is brilliant. So how do I rate this? I mean, people are saying that SV Sunil and Akashdeep has been overlooked by Graham Reed. And the reasons, as far as I'm concerned, based on what the coach said, are twofold. One, in Olympic hockey, unlike in normal tournaments, you have to go in with a 16-member squad instead of an 18-member squad. And that makes it that you have to go in with multi-dimensional players rather than unidimensional. So if you are able to play as a forward, as a midfielder, and also contribute in defending, you will always have a chance in a tournament which allows for 16 players in the squad and not 18. Number 2 is, if a player gets injured, at the start of the tournament, and if you have a versatile player who can fit in every position, he will always have an advantage over the player who is unidimensional and plays in a single position. That is what has prompted the omission of Akashdeep and SV Sunil, not to take away anything from these two legends of Indian hockey. But the players that we have, Gujant, Manpreet, Lalit Upadhyay, obviously Shrijesh, Rupinder, Harman, and Mandeep. It is a tremendous mix of youth and experience. The forward line is slightly inexperienced, but the defensive line and the half from the midfielders have enormous amount of experience, have been stellar performers for India in the recent past. So in every sense, if I have to analyze this hockey team, I will say we actually realistically have a great chance. We have a fantastic chance this particular year to win a medal. Now, you know what? No one can tell you that you will win a medal because it's Olympic stage. Anything can happen. The pressure is there. But in terms of preparation, in terms of potential, in terms of ability, no doubt the Indians are in a great shape. Indians are in tremendous shape going into the Tokyo Games. So I will say medal prospects 50%. I was telling you yesterday about wrestling and boxing and shooting. I had given about 9-ish odd medals. I will give a 50% plus chance to win a medal in men's hockey. For women, Rani Rampal's team, very impressive, but I'm not giving them a medal chance yet because for them, Tokyo, a good showing will be very important. We know what happened in Rio. Rani is an outstanding player. So for the Indian women's team, and by the way, I will get you the women's team also on my show. And at that point in time, we will talk about them in far greater detail. But suffice to say, it's a good team, but I'm not giving them medal chances yet. But as far as the men's team is concerned, I am giving them medal chances. Let me take the questions. Trisha, how far are you in terms of uploading? I want to play the interview for my viewers. Give me a sense when are we ready with the interview? Because I need to tell them a few stories about India's hockey legacy as well. Okay, beautiful. So I will take some questions, give you a couple of stories, and then toss to the interview. No SV Sunil and Akashdeep Indranil Raichaudhuri, big bold decision. I was just addressing that question. I hope you heard me. No Akashdeep, no SV Sunil, big call from Graham Reed. But he says in the interview, he talks about it at length, you must hear him, and he does make some very important points. Aritro Pathak, Kolkata kew hockey khele na keno ar? Sheta bhai tader jigesh koro. Baton Cup has such a great tradition in in Kolkata. Indranil, one goalkeeper. Correct call. One goalkeeper is a big call, but PR Shrijesh. And again, if you take two goalkeepers, you're reducing the number of multi-dimensional players available. And that's a big problem when you go into a tournament of 16. So that's a big issue. Aapka Fungal, thank you. Okay, great. Appreciate your congratulations and your support. Kush Gupta, hi. Yes, Kush, hi. Shalini, what is the probable amount of gold medals that can be won? Impossible to say, Shalini. Gold medals are actually gold medals. I mean, 1 in a billion. It is like that. But you can, with this team, the kind of potential across sport, not simply hockey, we do have a chance to win more than one. If it happens, it will be a history, revolutionary thing for Indian sport. Shatrajit Ghosh, hockey দিয়েতে এবার একটা চান্স আছে, penalty corner ভালো করতে হবে বরিয়াদা, weak link. I don't think it is a weak link, Shatrajit. I think Rupinder Pal, Harman, Preet are extremely good drag flickers. I do think we have a great chance to do well this time in hockey. Bablu Sarkar, কেউ দেখে না। তুমি দেখো না ভাই, who's asking you to watch? No one. So don't watch. How does it matter? Indranil Raichaudhuri, Otonu and Deepika, mixed event chances. Very good. We'll talk about archery different day, Indranil. Today is a hockey special. Mirabai, archery, we will, and also boxing, the female boxers, we will talk about them at length. But on a different day. Today I'm focusing specifically on hockey. Rahul Mukherjee, 2 good games in quarter semis is all that matters for a podium finish. Group games are important. Team has the ammo. I think, Rahul, you're making a very important point. I think this team has enormous ammo to take this, make the podium. They have enough and more opportunity. They have enough and more talent. They've trained. If you hear that interview, you will know. They've trained and worked the hardest. So People like Bablu folded hands. If you cannot respect your athletes and cannot respect sport, trust me, don't come and waste your time on the show, because this show is about respecting sports people. That's what it is. My message for the team, Rahul, go get your crown back. It is all our message, Rahul, for all of India. Indrani, Neeraj, I'll talk about Neeraj on a different day, Indrani. Shalini in middle order needs improvement. Correct, I've mentioned that, but today is my hockey theme, Shalini. Push, prediction 12. You talking about medals, or you talking about what? 12 medals in Olympics? That's slightly more optimistic. I would give them between 8 and 10, but if 12 happens, buddy, you have a party from me. Shatrajit, will you cover every event, Indian event? That is the plan, Shatrajit. That is the plan. And I've followed every event. I know almost all the sports and follow each of them very, very closely. There will be days when there will be multiple events at the same time, so one has to take a call. But the idea is to give you a holistic coverage. Okay. Harshvardhan Kumar, why don't we play frequently? We do. I mean, if you see, even during the pandemic, the hockey team has been sent to multiple international tours. They've done very well. India is ranked 4, but why there is enormous hope, Harshvardhan, for a medal. Who says there is no hope? Who says there is no hope? Absolutely, there is a solid chance for hope. Rahul, midfielders and drag flickers will have to play a key role, without doubt. Without doubt. How can we improve in Olympics? Cycling, canoeing, it doesn't happen that you have to do all. If you see the history of the United Kingdom, 1996, 1 gold, 97 lottery funding comes in, and thereafter they focused on a group of sports. That's what you have to do for quick improvement. Vinil Reddy, predicting bronze in javelin. Of course there is a chance, and you're predicting rightly. Why only bronze? Because of the withdrawal of the German world champion, you got more chance. What about the draw for PV Sindhu? Good question, Kush. I'll play you the PV Sindhu interview also, and we'll talk about these finer points. Of course, boxing draw is a tough one. We have to get a good draw for some of our boxers, Amit, Vikas, etc. Sania through the first round, great, very good. Olympics is the greatest tournament above football world. Olympics is the greatest sporting event of all. There is no football World Cup, no cricket World Cup, nothing comes close to the Olympic Games, nothing in the world. Your discussion on India's best team, I'll come to that, Pratyush. My point is, during this month, I think it's all about the Olympics. I'll do that discussion for sure. Couple of stories from the past, some incredible stories. 1936, one story. 1936, the Indians were so good. The Indians were so talented that at one point in time in the German newspapers, it was mentioned that the Indians were actually, so they said Indians were doing black magic, and they were storing the ball in their turbans and scoring goals. So there is a photograph of an Indian hockey star, a Sardar, opening his turban to show that he was not doing black magic and that it was all potential, and the Indians were not doing anything that was cheating or corruption of any sort. Unbelievable story. Then it is a part of folk that Dhyan Chand was kissed by a German spectator and Hitler offered him a job. There is no corroboration of any of this in the annals of Indian history. But the other story is playing bare feet under Dhyan Chand in Germany, beating the Germans 8-1. Dhyan Chand was captain. But that was one of the most sensational wins in the annals of Indian hockey. 28 and 32, people thought India was great, and India was incredibly good. But 36 was the pinnacle moment of Dhyan Chand's career, because in front of Adolf Hitler in Germany, to be able to beat the German team 8-1 in the final was an unbelievable achievement from a tremendous team. The only sort of final that can match this is the 1948 final. Trisha, are we ready, by the way? Because this is my final story. I will toss to the interview. Are we ready, Trisha? Please confirm on WhatsApp if we are, because this is my final story and I will toss to the interview straight up. Trisha, quickly confirm on WhatsApp if we are ready. Trisha and Ashish, confirm to me on WhatsApp, please, if we are ready. The 1948 story is fascinating, in many, many ways. 1948, what happened was, firstly, you have to imagine this. It was the austere Olympics. For the first time, India and Pakistan were playing hockey in the same games together. Some months back, these players were playing for one particular country, the same team, etc. All of a sudden, they were put differently in two different teams. They were not even talking to each other in the Olympic Village. There was tremendous amount of tension. And if you read Balbir Singh's autobiography, if you see Balbir Singh his speak to him, which I had the opportunity of multiple times. In an enormous amount of tension between the Indians and Pakistanis, and everybody thought that it will be an India versus Pakistan final at the London Olympics of 1948. Pakistan lost in that semi-final, and it became an India versus Britain final. An India-Britain final at Olympic hockey within months of India having achieved independence. You have seen some of it in Akshay Kumar's gold, but the kind of nationalist euphoria, playing the mother country in London, the metropolitan country, the platform is huge. You've got to, the tension was palpable. It was palpable, unbelievably tense atmosphere at that point in time in London. And if you see, the All India Radio had organized commentary. If you see, the Times of India and other newspapers had sent correspondents. Alex Valentine was writing for the Times of India around the 13th, 14th, 15th August period. Regular match reports, fascinating to read. Great Britain had beaten Pakistan and had made the final. And in that final, India beat them 4-0. One of the greatest moments in the history of Indian sport was scripted at that point in time in London. One of the greatest moments in history of Indian sport. As I said, 36 and this one. For me, these stories of Indian hockey are part of Indian sporting lore. I just hope, I'll tell you many more, but I just hope this current team is able to replicate it and make it to the podium in Tokyo. Anything we will do to support. All of India will support them. Absolutely will. And that's what we want. We want a podium finish from Manpreet Singh, from PR Shrijesh, from Graham Reed's team. And it is a solid enough team to be able to do that. Trisha, can we toss to the interview now? Are you ready? You need to confirm, please. Ashish, can you confirm if you are there backstage? I want to play the interview now for my audience, please. This is Ashish and Trisha. Are you there at the back end? So, okay. Trisha, is she ready? Trisha, are we ready? Yeah, so then why don't you confirm it on WhatsApp? No, I'm asking you on the show. So Trisha says we are ready. It's the full-length interview coming to you. And it was a fascinating conversation. So let's have it played for you. Manpreet Singh, the captain, PR Shrijesh, Graham Reed, the coach. Incredibly interesting conversation, including banter. Take a look. The Indian hockey team special on Sports Today. आप मुझे बताओ, are you, just days left. What is the morale of the team? Physically and mentally, are you ready? आपको अभी जो preparation है, if I ask you to rate it, is it 10 on 10 in your schema?
Yes, definitely, sir. क्योंकि जिस हिसाब से यहाँ पे ट्रेनिंग हो रही है हमारी, हम लोग एक्चुअली ट्रेनिंग आफ्टरनून में कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि जैसे सभी को पता है कि टोक्यो में जो वेदर है वो काफी जैसे हॉट रहेगा आफ्टरनून, और हमारे जो मैचेस हैं वो भी दोपहर में 10-11 बजे इतने बजे रहेंगे। तो इसीलिए हम लोग जो हमारा ट्रेनिंग है वो आफ्टरनून में कर रहे हैं कि जो हमारा जो वेदर हम लोग यहाँ पे यूज टू हो सकें, और जब हम लोग टोक्यो में जाएं तो वहां पे ज्यादा अडॉप्ट करने में ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम ना हो। और स्पेशली हम लोग फिटनेस के ऊपर काफी ध्यान दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि हॉकी इट्स ऑल अबाउट फिटनेस। तो हम लोग यही चाहते हैं कि हमारा जो फिटनेस लेवल वो ज्यादा ऊपर है, और जब हम लोग वहां पे मैच टू मैच खेले तो हमारा जो फिटनेस लेवल वो ड्रॉप ना हो, और हम लोग हर मैच सेम इंटेंसिटी के लेवल पे खेल सकें।
Coach, I'll take it from there. What he was talking about, Manpreet, is that you can play. The idea is to play at the same intensity, and that is the whole physicality of modern hockey. There's been a lot written about team selection. I'm not interested in asking you about specific players. I don't believe in that. But give me a sense, when you picked this team for Tokyo, was it weather? Was it the number of players, that 16 and not 18? What was the main reasons that prompted your choice of particular players for this Tokyo-bound squad? Graham Reed.
Yeah, look, you may have seen my comments on it before, and I stand behind those, and that is the fact that probably, yeah, of course, humidity, heat, in Tokyo. You know, the fact of 2 back-to-back games, those things are very important. And we had, I'm not sure if Manpreet mentioned, but in our fitness test, it would be about 3 weeks ago now, 29 of our 33 athletes achieved personal bests. So, you know, definitely fitness was a major factor, but most of the players were at the level that they needed to be. So that's an interesting point and a good one to make. The 16 players is also very important because the first thing is most of the time you normally see a team with 18 in it, and so you expect to see specific players, and but when you pick 16, there are some changes, not only from a point of view of who they are, but where they play and the flexibility required, not only from within a tournament such as the Olympics, but from within a game. So, you know, those things are really very important. Things like team first. You know, when I first started with this group, it was one of my first major slides was, you know, we have to build a team first mentality, and you know, our mantra has been together. And you said you were a historian of Olympic Games, and we studied them as well, all past Olympics, and probably the most common theme was regrets that former players had since the golden years, was that lack of cohesion during major tournaments or for example the Olympic Games. So I think that first, you know, the team first mentality. We also have a good group of world champions coming through now, you know, younger players who can provide that oomph and that little bit of spark that only youth can provide. So there was a mixture of those, yeah, that were in our mind.
You're right, actually, you're right. I mean, I have covered Indian hockey from the Olympic Games, from, you know, multiple Olympic Games, and I remember London, and I remember speaking to Michael Nobbs the day India lost. We came last, and the whole deal was it wasn't team first, and there's no debate about it. It wasn't team first. There was a problem. I do not want to name players on this particular show, but there was huge internal bickering within the team. So I'm delighted what you just said. Shrijesh, if I can come to you on that. You've been around for a long time. You're one of the greatest we've seen in recent times. Is this the best team? Is this the best team that you've been part of? Is it both physicality, mentally? Is this the best group? And do we really have a great chance in terms of being in a good space? Your thoughts, Shrijesh?
See, if you look back and if you compare with this, every team got a specialty when they prepare for a certain tournaments. So it's depending on the tournaments and depending on the situation. So at the present moment, at the present scenario, yeah, definitely this is one of the best team, because at this present moment, what the performance these players showed in past 1.5 years. Everyone knows that we are in Bangalore from last the starting of the pandemic till now, and we are training under the same scenario, and we are training the same strategies, we are playing the same structure. So I believe that the coaching staff and the selectors got the enough opportunity to see the players, understand the players, and they valued the players with the quality, with the fitness, with the mentality, and as the way coach said, that the team comes first situation. So these all factors help a lot of newcomers to get into the team, and they made their way. And yeah, as the way Manpreet mentioned before, the fitness is a big vital factor is going to be in this tournament, because yeah, Japan knows really well with their hot and humid climate. So sustaining these crucial matches under this all weather condition, playing under a lot of pressure. I mean, the pressure of Olympics, I think we need a fresh leg to manage the tournament.
Okay, Manpreet, ये बताओ, you know, current hockey, modern hockey में हम लोग सब ये देखते हैं कि आपको एक ही इंटेंसिटी से पूरा मैच खेलना पड़ता है, और अगर आप फिजिकली अंतिम 5 मिनट, हम भारत के हॉकी में अंतिम 5 मिनट हमारे लिए बहुत बुरा रहा है. हिस्टोरिकली हम लोगों ने अंतिम 5 मिनट में बहुत बार कंसीड करके अपॉर्चुनिटी छोड़ दी हम लोग. क्या इस टीम में वो खासियत है? आपको क्या लगता है कि हम लोग पूरा मैच सेम इंटेंसिटी से खेल सकते हैं? फिजिकली आप लोग वहां पे पहुंच चुके हो?
सर, जैसे कि अगर देखिए बात की जाए तो लास्ट 2 साल से हम लोगों ने इस चीज के ऊपर काफी काम किया है. अगर हमारा लास्ट ईयर प्रो लीग के मैचेस देखा जाए और रिसेंटली हमारा अगर टूर्नामेंट देखा, जो हम लोग अर्जेंटीना के साथ मैच खेला है, हम लोगों ने लास्ट मिनट में अभी गोल कर रहे हैं, और हम लोग लास्ट मिनट में और जो चांसेस क्रिएट कर रहे हैं। अगर देखे जाए तो लास्ट अर्जेंटीना के मैच में हम लोग 2-1 से डाउन थे और लास्ट 25 सेकंड थे, हम लोगों ने प्लेंटी कॉर्नर क्रिएट किया और वहीं से गोल किया। तो इसके ऊपर हम लोगों ने पर्टिकुलरली काफी काम किया है कि जब लास्ट 5-10 मिनट रहते हैं तो हमें कहाँ पे बॉल पोजेशन करना है, और ओपोनेंट के पास बॉल रखेंगे तो उनके ऊपर ज्यादा प्रेशर फील रहेगा। तो कैसे पूरा गेम थ्रू आउट द एंड ऑफ द वेसल तक हमें पूरा एनर्जी लगाना पड़ेगा।
Okay. Coach, Manpreet mentioned penalty corner. I mean, short corner conversion has been an issue with India for a fairly long time, and we have suffered as a result. Your thoughts on that? I mean, we have seen much improved performances in recent times, but how important is it, and what have you done to address this concern?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, because I've come from being a coach of the opposition team, and I'm not sure I would necessarily agree that that the corners haven't necessarily been good for India. I think perhaps historically there haven't been enough corners created. So I think we've always had or India has always had the great flickers, but perhaps they haven't had enough opportunities to make those flicks when the things count. So for me, one of the really important things has been about trying to create opportunities. And when you create goal scoring opportunities, obviously you also trying to create opportunities for penalty corners, and I think that's one of the things that we've been really focusing on, and perhaps historically we either haven't created enough goal opportunities, or the opportunities that we create aren't necessarily quality ones. So we're really trying to be, we have a system where you rank every opportunity that you get between 1 and 5. And a shot in front of goals is a 5, so as a penalty corner is a 5. If you touch the ball on the back line, for example, you get in the circle, but it's only a 1. And perhaps I think that's been a real focus for us, is to try and convert those 1s and 2s into 3s, 4s and 5s. And so, when you get up there, you really want to make sure that they are quality opportunities. So that's the first part. And then the second part is about we've been trying to get different corner specialists helping out our players. And, we have some world-class flickers.
Yeah, true. And before I go to Srijesh, one more for you. While picking the team, was multi-dimensional ability, that players who can play in multiple positions, one of the key issues that you kept in mind? Again, given the size of the squad, 16 players, that if there is an injury, can happen in a big tournament, that I should not get stuck. I should have players who have multi-dimensional ability.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, and it's not only, for example, you play striker, you can also play midfielder, but also you need to be able to have people who can play midfield and defence, and you also want to be able to do that in a structure that doesn't affect us going forward and score and creating goal opportunities. So you still want your best playmakers to be able to do that and stay in the positions that you pick them for. So yeah, they definitely are major factors when you are selecting an Olympic team. And this is my third as in being involved as a coach, and it's one of the things that every 4 years, in this case 5 years, you have to be thinking in that type of mentality with the 16 to 18 differences.
Okay, Srijesh, tell me something. I mean, in terms of pressure, clearly India has had the worst of the pandemic. The second wave was monstrous. In terms of preparation, have you guys been able to properly prepare? You mentioned the Bangalore camp. I know that we will have to, as media, for example, all of us will be subjected to testing every day for the first 7 days, and the whole lot, the restrictions imposed on us. Thoughts on that? Does it add to your pressure? Does it make you feel, there is discrimination? Or is the mentality, jo hoga dekha jayega, we are now on the cusp of the Olympics, we will go and do our best?
Say the last 1.5 years, I think we got enough experience, enough preparation to face any quarantine, any COVID test or anything else. So we are mentally and physically fit for that. And second thing is definitely it is going to be a different Olympics games, because as you know that earlier, it is like a festival. Everyone can roam around, they meet people, they can go and watch other events. But this time it's totally different. So we are we are mostly focusing on our own business rather than worrying about what is happening the next door. And this is something which is really worried topic before this Olympics topic came, because we don't know how this COVID is going to affecting us, how they are going to manage it. So there were a lot of false news were spreading, but now we got it that, okay, this is what is going to happen. We just need to be there. We are allowed to train now in Tokyo. I mean, there are going to be tests, but which I mentioned earlier, we are used to with that. In previous Germany and Argentina, every day or every second day they used to test us. So testing is not an issue for us. But yeah, that's 1.5 years teached us how to stay together, and that was a real time for us to understand each other in a better way. Because when you get an open space, when you are free, you go around, you do a lot of other stuff when you than only with the team. But now this pandemic helped us to bond really well, so we understand each other really well. So now we know the weakness of our team members, and we know the strength of our team members.
Lovely answer. I mean, Manpreet, basically Srijesh जो कह रहा है about bonding is exactly the way one should look at the pandemic, क्योंकि हम लोग हर बार इसका negativity और gloom ये सब देखते हैं, बट ये आपको चांस भी देता है ग्रैम रीड के पीछे पड़ने के लिए। थोड़ा कुछ छेड़ लो, कोच के भी पीछे पड़ जाओ यार, कुछ इधर उधर कर लो, ड्रेसिंग रूम में मस्ती कर लो। कोच, आई एम बेसिकली सेइंग दैट दे शुड हैव फन एट योर एक्सपेंस आल्सो, बिकॉज़ दे हैव नो अदर ऑप्शन, दे कांट गो आउट एंड द बॉन्डिंग हैज टू बी स्ट्रांग इनफ। एनीवे, बट मनप्रीत, एज कैप्टन ऑफ इंडिया, once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, if you think Dhyan Chand captained India in 1936, and by the way, let me tell you a story. He scored a goal, and the Indian team scored a goal, and they said, oh, you know what? All these guys have black magic in their hockey sticks.
Yep.
So there is a photograph, I'll show you the photograph, of this guy opening his turban and showing the German authorities that there is no black magic. It is all skill. So you are actually inheriting this tradition. आप ये tradition inherit कर रहे हो as captain of India. Thoughts about captaining India, Manpreet Singh?
तो पर्सनली एक्चुअली मेरा यही रहता है कि जब भी मैं ग्राउंड के ऊपर हूँ, मैं अपना पूरा बेस्ट दूं, क्योंकि अपनी कंट्री को रिप्रेजेंट करना है। व्हेन यू वेयरिंग अ नेशनल कलर, इट्स अ ह्यूज प्राउड ऑफ, राइट, फॉर एवरीवन। तो मेरे लिए यही रहता है कि ग्राउंड के ऊपर रहूं, हमेशा अपना बेस्ट करूं और पूरी टीम को साथ लेके चलें, क्योंकि डेफिनेटली मेरे साथ हमेशा जैसे श्री भाई हमेशा पीछे से पूरा मुझे मोटिवेट करते हैं अच्छी तरह से। तो
यार कुछ तो आप लोग नहीं बोल रहे हो, क्या मोटिवेट करता है बताओ।
अच्छी तरीके से, यार दैट्स द राइट आंसर।
ये जो है ये मेरा ना है कि अच्छी तरह से मोटिवेट करते हैं ना पीछे से, वो बहुत ज्यादा अफेक्ट करता है और हमेशा ये सपोर्ट करते हैं। और बाकी भी मेरे साथ काफी सीनियर प्लेयर्स है, रुपिंदर है, वीरेंद्र लाकड़ है, हरमनप्रीत है। हम एज ए लाइक जैसे श्री ने बोला कि हम लोग एज ए फैमिली है यहाँ पे, तो हम लोगों ने मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हम लोग यहाँ पे स्पेंड करते हैं। जब भी मैं ग्राउंड के ऊपर होता हूँ, कई बार मैं भी अच्छा नहीं खेल पाता हूँ, तो दे ऑलवेज हेल्प मी अलॉट। तो आई ऑलवेज ट्राई टू गिव माय बेस्ट ऑन द फील्ड, कि एक साथ रहें, और अगर अच्छा नहीं कर पाता उसको ये हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं कि उसको मोटिवेट करें और उसको गेम में वापस लाएं, क्योंकि हॉकी में जितने प्लेयर ग्राउंड के ऊपर है वो सभी इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं।
Yeah, coach, even we in India love our hockey. I mean, clearly one of the sports we absolutely love and are passionate about. My friend Sachin Tendulkar keeps talking about pressure and gives an example that if you think pressure is over your head, it will pull you down. But if it is behind you, it will propel you forward. So this is the example he keeps giving. Your thoughts on pressure? Do you feel the pressure of coaching India? One of the most high-profile assignments. I will get after Graham Reed if he doesn't give me a medal. That's my job. So your thoughts on handling pressure?
Yeah, look, we talk about it a fair bit in the team as well, and it's about being in the present. It's pressure comes from outside, and then if you let it in, then it becomes internal and can, as Sachin says, it can drag you down. So for me, it's about a couple of things. The first one is changing the channel. If you find yourself being nervous about something particular, and it's the same within a game, it's before a game. If it's about an interview you're about to do and you're feeling nervous, then for me it's about focusing on what you need to do right now, and that to me is the most important thing. And I've found that it used to work as a player, but it also does work as a coach. If you focus on what you have to do next, then I think that's probably, the same way of saying what Sachin is saying, is that it's behind you. You'll always look for the next thing, because you can't change what has just happened. And that to me is a really important point. And so, yeah, so it's that changing the channel, being able to control your thoughts, and changing them from positive to negative, negative to positive, of course, but also that ability to be able to focus on the next thing each time.
Shrijesh, if I can just ask a very similar one to you. I mean, you know, obviously, if you open social media, there is already a build-up. This hockey team is excellent. They have been there, done that. We are as good as the top four. We can compete, or we have a chance of a medal. Is that something that sort of you take as motivation? Is that something that you've now blocked off? Social media is a distraction that I will not look at. How is the last home stretch for Shrijesh going into the game on day one? How are you going to be ready?
See, the pressure is always there, whether you play a test match or whether you play Olympics. The pressure is always there. But when you prepare for a test match, you don't bother about the pressure. But when you're preparing for the Olympics, you always think around you, what all pressure I am getting, from where it's getting. The same way Coach mentioned, we should not allow those all pressure to get into our team to distract ourselves. So the first thing what personally I do is I just mind on my own business. So I look after my performance. I analyze myself. I analyze opponent teams, and I make sure that my equipments are ready for my match. So that is what I normally do for the matches. And when you people talk about social media or other interaction, no, because that's a part of your life. You check it every day. So if you don't do that, if you don't do the normal things, then suddenly you feel like, okay, something else is happening with me. Something else is happening, surrounding me. So then suddenly you start thinking negatively. So do normal things. You talk to your parents, you talk to your family, you make yourself comfort so that you are just going and playing a match. The normal match, what you train for, from last 6 years, last 10 years. So you just need to go there and just to play that simple hockey under the tremendous pleasure and the pressure. That's the one thing which we call as Olympics games.
Lovely. Manpreet, when was the last cheat day? Biryani kab khayo? When was the last cheat day? And
last
give
Sunday.
me
Last Sunday.
but on a more serious note, यार diet के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताओ. I mean, sports nutrition has become so important, and give me a sense. I mean, your preparation schedule, training schedule, diet. Give me a sense of the backstage that people don't know.
सर एक्चुअली हमारे में जैसे न्यूट्रिशन है और वो पूरा फॉलो करते हैं, हमारा डाइट चार्ट फॉलो करते हैं, और स्पेशली हमारा जो फिटनेस ट्रेनर है वो पूरा एनालाइज करते हैं कि हाँ कि क्या हमें जो डाइट प्रॉपर आफ्टर ट्रेनिंग और बिफोर ट्रेनिंग जो हमें मिलनी चाहिए वो हमें मिल रही है कि नहीं मिल रही है. क्योंकि हमें हर शेड्यूल में हर प्रोग्राम में डाला जाता है कि हाँ कि आज हाई इतना इंटेंसिटी ट्रेनिंग हो रही है तो आपको इतना कार्ब्स खाना है और इतना प्रोटीन लेना है, तो जिससे आपकी जो बॉडी है वो रिकवर जल्दी कर सके और आप नेक्स्ट डे के लिए अपने आप को रेडी कर सको. तो मेरा पर्सन यही रहता है कि मैं उसको चीज को फॉलो करूं और जो मैं नेक्स्ट डे अपना पूरा बेस्ट कर सकूं, क्योंकि हर ट्रेनिंग हमारे लिए काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. जैसे ओलंपिक्स पास में आ रही है तो इसलिए जैसे कि वाटर वो बहुत ज्यादा, जैसे कि डिहाइड्रेशन वो बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि हर ट्रेनिंग के बाद काफी स्वेट होता है, उसके बाद पानी पीना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. इसीलिए हम लोग ट्रेनिंग से पहले अपना वेट चेक करते हैं कितना वेट लूज किया है, और उसी हिसाब से ट्रेनिंग के बाद पानी पीना होता है. फिर जिस दिन रेड सेशन होता है, मतलब हार्ड ट्रेनिंग सेशन रहता है जो कि कल ही था, तो उसके बाद आपको कार्ब थोड़ा ज्यादा खाना होता है, ठीक है, जब अदरवाइज आप प्रोटीन ज्यादा लीजिए. तो ये चीजें हैं सर कि जो हमारी जो ट्रेनर्स है, जो न्यूट्रिशन है, वो डेली फॉलो हमें देते आते हैं कि हाँ इसको फॉलो करना है आपको.
Okay. Coach, are you happy with the facilities that we have been able to provide you in India? Sports Authority of India, obviously the Sports Ministry under Kiran Rijiju, obviously Dr. Batra being a hockey aficionado president and all that he has been in hockey, it's more important for him compared to anything else. Are you happy with the facilities that we have been able to give you?
Yeah, I think I said from day one, you know, if you come down to our training facilities, they're world class, and we've been lucky because we've just opened one of our new. There's a new building that we have, which is basically it's still working out all the ways that we can utilize it. But the bottom floor of the new building is a world-class gym, and seriously, it's fantastic. So normally, if there are things that we need, we only have to mention it a couple of times, or sorry, once, and it's done. You know, so most of the time things are really, and you know, for us it's been our home. It's been, you know, these guys normally it's a camp for say 4 weeks or 6 weeks, maybe at the most. This time it's been 15 months or 16 months or whatever it is, and one of the things that I'm really proud of with this team is the fact that that they have managed to get through that period. Because look, coming from Australia and coming from the Dutch team, I'm sure that these guys have handled it all so much better than you know the other 2 countries that I mentioned probably would have. You know, they've come from different backgrounds, and that, I think Shri was mentioning it before. I think that's the other part of this lockdown, has been the fact that we got to know each other so much better. And I think it's what I keep saying to them. It are these times in here where we have now been through something together, and understand that that's what does bond people together. You know, you see it when after a particular accident or a crash or if you go through adversity together, it bonds you. And you know, I think that's what when the chips are down, that's what we will be really trying to bring to the fore.
Okay, last few minutes of my show, Srijesh. Before I ask one round of concluding questions, one for you. I asked Manpreet about preparation and schedule, etc. How do you relax? I mean, at these points, you can't go out and watch a film. You can't go out and meet anybody because you're in a bubble. Obviously, outside exposure is not allowed. Otherwise, I would have physically come down to where you are and done this interview. That's not possible. Last Olympics also, if you remember, I had come down and spoken to you all, spent days at the training camp. But how do you relax? I mean, is it Netflix and OTTs and group bonding and PlayStation? Manpreet, also I'll come to you. You will get after Srijesh. That's fine. Srijesh, pehle aap bolo, phir I'll come to Manpreet.
No. Definitely. I mean, this COVID taught us to sit inside the room and chill out. So now we are getting a lot of sources. Now the Euro is happening. Before that, the championship was happening. And before to that, I mean, at the starting of this COVID, nobody knows what to do. So everyone started to pick up some sort of hobbies. I don't know how many books I finished. It's more than 100 books. Just sitting and reading. And then when we get a break time, yeah, we try to get into the pool. We do have a pool inside this campus, so we just go there. In between the starting of this COVID, we try to cook for the team. So we tried a lot of experience, and even in the team, there are a lot of people, those who are really addicted to Netflix. And Manpreet is one who is really addicted to PS5. He bought a new one. And there are people who is definitely addicted to PUBG also. So that is how the team is distracting themselves from hockey, because so far we are here together 365 days, working hard for for Olympics, but still you need to distract your mind in some sort of way. That cheating meal is also coming in that way, because after a heavy training session, you need to treat yourself. After a heavy weekend, a heavy week of trainings, you need to treat yourself in a bad way. Having a biryani or one bowl of ice cream, that is really make you happy, and that will gives you energy to work for the, looking for the next week. And so what can I have? One pizza or one extra, what do you call, one dosa, whatever it is. So anyways, but these all things, so books, social medias, or PUBG or Netflix. But I think the best part is that players are getting back to the serious hockey once they are on the field. So that is important for us.
Excellent. Manpreet, you wanted to say something?
I want to say something about him. I went to his room. जब मैंने गया ना, उसमें इतनी बड़ी किताबें पड़ी हुई हैं वहाँ पे.
मेरा किताब था कि नहीं था वो बताओ. मेरा हिस्ट्री ऑफ ओलंपिक्स था कि नहीं? अगर नहीं था तो वो बहुत गलत कर रहा है मेरे साथ.
You never send me one copy, so that is really bad of you.
देखो,
I read your Sachin's book.
मिलियनेयर है श्रीजेश, बोल रहा है मेरे को कॉपी भेजने के लिए. थोड़ा सा रॉयल्टी वो भी नहीं देना चाहता.
So you are not considering me one.
I will be delighted to send you a copy. Not simply send you a copy. You will sign it for me after the Olympic Games. Last round of questions. Coach, I'll start with you. How confident are you, Coach? Because trust you me, 1980 has been 41 years now. 41 years. I mean, Vasudevan Bhaskaran, Mohammad Shahid. 41 years. How confident are you of giving us what we all dream of in this country?
Yeah, look, I would have to say very confident. What I keep saying to the players as well, or reminding them that over the last 2 years, we've pretty much played everybody in the Olympic Games, bar Canada, because we haven't had a chance to play them. Although I think we did play them in Aslan Shah back in early 2019 before I got here. But we have beaten every single team. So I think the important part that we just need to do is to focus on what our job is every single game, every single quarter, every single minute of each game, and the result will look after itself. We just need to play well and play our best, do our best, stay together. You know, they're the sort of messages that, and look, the outcome will be what it is. The Olympic Games is a very, very difficult tournament. You know, I don't think anyone could dispute that fact. But what we need to do is focus on what we can do, and that is focus on our game and the way that we play, enjoy ourselves, play the way that we love to play. You know, we're really trying to play an Indian style. It's very similar to the way that we used to play with Australia, and by the way, Australia's way of play came originally from India mainly as well. So you know, there's a fair bit of synchronicity there, and yeah, so that's pretty much my message.
Okay, Srijesh, before I close it with Manpreet, obviously if we do एक आइसक्रीम एक साथ टोक्यो में बनता है आफ्टर द टूर्नामेंट इज ओवर, सेलिब्रेट करके मिक्स जोन में खाएंगे, प्रोटोकॉल नहीं तोड़ेंगे, बट वी विल हैव समथिंग टुगेदर एंड सेलिब्रेट. So we will definitely do that. I'll get one of your jerseys signed by you, and obviously you will be the next chapter of the book. Needless to say, final thoughts from you, Srijesh.
Say, I think we are just in the last preparation phase. We done whatever things we need to do, and we are just polishing our last phase, and we are just sharpening our weapons and just polishing ourselves, and just wanted to be there and just want to deliver our 100%, not 100, 200%. इस टाइम पे वही डायलॉग याद आता है जैसे मिल्खा सिंह का मूवी में नहीं बोलता है कि ये आपका आखिरी रेस साबित हो सकता है, और दौड़ूंगा भी ऐसे. हम लोग का भी यही मौका है कि एक आखिरी मौका मिल रहा है, खेलूंगा भी ऐसे कि हमारा जो ग्लोरियस डे का दिन है वो वापस लेके आने के लिए एक आखिरी मौका मिला है, उसको पूरा करना है.
Super, Manpreet, you have to beat that.
सर एक्सपीरियंस हमेशा ज्यादा होता है सर. एक्सपीरियंस देखो ना आप, वो भी देखो कितना एक्सपीरियंस है. दो बच्चे भी है ना, वो भी देखो, फर्क रहेगा ना.
but closing thoughts from you.
सर हमारी तरफ से यही है कि पूरा बेस्ट करना, क्योंकि यहाँ पे हम लोगों ने बहुत मेहनत की है. लास्ट ईयर जो पूरा पैंडेमिक कोविड की वजह से हम लोगों ने यहाँ पे स्पेंड किया है, तो इतना हार्ड वर्क किया है, उसका डेफिनेटली हम लोग पूरा 100, जैसे श्री बोला 200% देंगे हर मैच में, एवरी सिंगल मिनट. और इस टाइम यही है कि हम लोग पोडियम फिनिश कर सकते हैं, बट हमें बिलीव होना चाहिए और हम लोग कर सकते हैं. ओके, एंड वी विल डू आवर बेस्ट दिस टाइम.
1.3 billion people believe in these boys and the coach. Yes. 1.3 billion. Each one of us believe in them, because the story is one from adversity to triumph. Be it hardship, be it COVID, be it the difficulties of the pandemic, this team has been through it all. And you know what? Good things happen to good people. They have put in the hard work. They've done the preparation. The gods of hockey cannot be as unkind as to deprive them, because 1.3 billion hearts would be bleeding when each of these boys walk out in that Tokyo field to do it for one name, and that name is India. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you so much.
I will be there, obviously, from day one to support you. We'll be there in the stands with the tricolor cheering for you. And as I said, a biryani or an ice cream, whatever the Japanese make, don't know. वो करने भी देंगे कि नहीं वो भी नहीं जानते, but we'll do something.
Sushi नहीं तो sushi.
Sushi, sashimi, जो मिलता है वो खा लेंगे. Sushi, sashimi, जो मिलेगा वो खा लेंगे. Doesn't matter, but a celebration is there. Celebration is definitely there, and one time Graham will cook for us and we'll cook for Graham again. So it remains. Graham, thank you very much. Manpreet, Srijesh, Nandini, thank you very much for making this possible.